One crisp autumn morning, I stepped onto my porch expecting the familiar scent of pine and the chatter of sparrows. Instead, I was met with a surreal sight, a flock of mallards gliding across my front lawn, now a shimmering lake. My mailbox tilted precariously, half submerged, while a tacky plastic pelican bobbed nearby. Then, floating past my azaleas, came a hand-painted sign. Margaret's tranquil oasis, nature's gift to us all. My name isn't Margaret. This wasn't her property. And as the county water inspector, I knew no permit had been issued for this absurdity. Margaret, the iron-fisted HOA president, had turned my yard into her personal wetland fantasy, and I was about to make her regret it. 3 weeks earlier, the trouble began brewing at an HOA meeting in our quiet suburban neighborhood of Oak Ridge, a place where manicured lawns and picket fences define life. Margaret, a woman who thrived on control, unveiled her green initiative to create eco-friendly spaces. Her pitch was all serenity and birdsong, but her eyes gleamed with ambition. As a water inspector, I'd seen her type before, visionaries who bend rules to suit their whims. Her plan had no budget transparency, no permits, and no input from residents. My gut told me she was up to something, but I never imagined it would drown my front yard. The night before the flood, a low hum echoed behind my house. I grabbed a flashlight, expecting a faulty sprinkler, but found a fresh trench snaking from the HOA's irrigation system toward my property. Muddy tire tracks vanished into the dark. By dawn, my yard was a swamp. Frogs croaked under my deck, mosquitoes swarmed, and my rose garden was underwater. The local paper, clueless as ever, ran a glowing feature, "Margaret's Water Haven Opens," with a photo of her beaming beside her pond. My blood boiled, but I kept calm. This wasn't just personal, it was illegal. I confronted Margaret that afternoon. She was hosting a Tai Chi session by the water, her oversized straw hat bobbing as she sipped lemon-infused water. "Why did you flood my yard?" I demanded. She blinked, feigning innocence. "Oh, David, it's not your pond. It's for the community. Your yard was just perfect." Her smugness was infuriating. "You diverted irrigation water onto private property. That's a violation," I said. She smirked. "Not if it's for beauty." I could have flashed my badge then, but I held back. I wanted her to dig her own grave. For days, I documented everything: water levels, trench paths, even thermal images showing the underground flow. Margaret had built a makeshift dam behind the HOA clubhouse, funneling water straight to my lot. Worse, her trench crossed a fiber optic cable junction. If it shorted, the neighborhood would lose internet and power for days. Meanwhile, she turned my misery into a spectacle, hosting pond blessings, inviting kids to feed ducks, and even hiring a local band for a lake launch. Residents ate it up, unaware of the danger. Then my friend Tom from utilities called. Someone had tampered with the irrigation valve, hard-coding my address as the drainage point. This wasn't a mistake, it was sabotage. Margaret didn't care about my home or the risks. She wanted her utopia, funded by HOA dues and built by unlicensed contractors. One morning, I found a stack of river rocks on my porch with a note: "For your contribution to our ecosystem." It felt like a taunt. I filed a report with the Environmental Violations Department, knowing a storm was forecast. If she didn't stop, her pond would become a flood. Margaret doubled down, styling herself as the neighborhood's eco-ambassador. She hired a shady wetlands expert named Carl, who poked at the water with a kitchen baster, muttering about spiritual resonance. I recorded it all, including the moment his test goldfish floated dead. The pond was a cesspool, leaking nitrates into my soil and creeping toward my garage foundation. She added gnomes, fairy lights, and a gaudy crane statue, calling it art. When a teen nearly fell in, I knew it was a lawsuit waiting to happen. She announced a sunset lakeside gala on my property, complete with wine and acoustic guitar. I dug into HOA records and found her trench ran over a critical fiber line and blocked a storm drain. One good rain could flood the street. I printed 150 flyers, "Did you approve this pond?" listing the violations and risks, including $50,000 in potential fines. I slipped them into mailboxes at midnight. By morning, the neighborhood was abuzz. A Reddit post titled, "HOA Tyrant Floods Neighbor's Yard," went viral, with memes of Margaret on a swan. Furious, she called an emergency HOA meeting by the pond, promising a big announcement. I arrived with my badge and a folder thick with evidence. satellite images, permit histories, and emails proving she misused HOA funds. As she rambled about community spirit, I stepped forward. "This pond is illegal," I said, voice steady. "It's on my property, built without permits, and it's endangering utilities." I listed the violations: nitrate contamination, flood risks, and infrastructure damage. The crowd went silent. Margaret's face drained of color. She stammered about consulting her team, but the neighbors' questions turned sharp. The next morning, I woke to dump trucks unloading mud on my driveway. The crew claimed Carla hired them Margaret's middle name. I photographed their plates and reported it. She posted online, accusing me of harassing the HOA. Then a maintenance worker tipped me off. Margaret paid him cash to dig the trench, claiming it was approved. He sent photos of a damaged utility box in the path. This wasn't just a zoning issue, it was a state-level offense. I sent my evidence to the Department of Environmental Protection and the state attorney's office, citing fraud and infrastructure sabotage. Within days, investigators arrived with a warrant. They tested the water, flagged the trench, and ignored Margaret's attempts to charm them. On Sunday, they hand-delivered a cease and desist order. The pond's lights went dark, the music stopped, and Margaret stood alone, clutching a trembling wine glass. She didn't go quietly. My mailbox was sawed down overnight, caught on camera, her silhouette unmistakable. She slipped a fake HOA complaint under my door, accusing me of emotional pollution. But the tide had turned. Neighbors demanded answers about her spending. At the next HOA meeting, the board presented the state's findings: $160,000 in fines, fake invoices, and a shell company tied to her friend. The vote was unanimous. Margaret was ousted, barred from any HOA role. She left without a word, her hat dangling like a defeated flag. The county drained the pond, leaving mud and gnomes. My garage foundation was compromised, costing thousands to fix. The HOA sued Margaret to recover damages, as their insurance refused to cover her private project. She was ordered to pay restitution and placed under financial oversight. Her home insurance dropped her, mold grew under her deck, and her house sat unsellable. By spring, she vanished, some say to her cousins in Ohio. I didn't stop at cleanup. Using my credentials, I secured approval for a sustainable rain garden on the site. Native plants, stone paths, and educational signs replaced her mess. Kids learned about ecosystems. Adults marveled at the change. The county gave me a plaque, but the Real win was the neighborhood's pride. My yard bloomed again, fragrant with lavender. I added a small sign: "Rise above, never sink." It was for me a reminder of surviving Margaret's war. This wasn't just about a pond. It was about power, entitlement, and fighting back with facts. Margaret's arrogance drowned her, but our community rose stronger. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you faced bullies or injustice like this? Share your stance on standing up to abuse and what justice means to you. Let's keep this conversation going.